Our area's most beautiful properties deserve the finest realtors. Meeks Realty Group. We focus on buying and selling residential and commercial properties throughout the tri-state area. Contact Meeks Realty Group online at meeks.us or call 304-440-1101.
The views and opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of 580 WCHS, its employees, or WVRC Media. From the studios of WVRC Media, the country, the United States of America, the state, West Virginia, the city, Charleston. This is the Dave Allen Show on 580 Live. And your host.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
He's kind of a big deal.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Dave Allen.
Hey, folks, good Tuesday morning to you from 4935508. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live is brought to you by Thornhill Auto Group, including Thornhill GM Superstore. If you're in the market for a powerful, luxurious, and innovative truck, come check out the 2024 Silverado from Chevy. The 1500 Crew Cab LTZ in High Country today. Find new roads to Thornhill GM Superstore. Click or come by ThornhillGMSuperstore.com or on the road to total savings at Thornhill Motor Mile, US 119 at Chapmanville. We do the show from the Parmar Store Studio. Parmar, the official store of high school sports in West Virginia and the official convenience store of Marshall University. If there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon. Well, welcome to the day after President's Day. For those who had the day off from work and school yesterday, welcome back. For the rest of us, well, we're still here. Where have you been? Coming up this morning, Tony Hodge, who is is with the state Republican Party. He's going to join us a little bit later on the show. Also, last Friday, it was announced that we have a new police chief here in the city of Charleston. His name is Scott Dempsey, and the new chief of the police department here in Charleston will join us to talk about his new role. Plus, your calls and texts are welcome too. Again, Bigly, Piggly, Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. And the text line from Fruth is 304-935-5008. There's a new study that came out that said that of all the states in these here United States of America, West Virginia ranks 32nd when it comes to things like personal freedom and economic freedom. Dr. Jason Sorens is from the American Institute for Economic Research, one of the folks behind the study, and he joins us now to talk about this. Doctor, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Dave.
Thank you for being here. I want to talk about the exciting world of economics. Always exciting stuff, I know, but a lot of this stuff really interests me, and I hope it will some of the listeners as well. But before we get into what you're here to talk about, tell us about the work of the American Institute for Economic Research and maybe a little of your background and the work that you've done so far with this group.
Yeah, so we are a think tank that works on economic freedom. So we have three main areas. One we call defending freedom and combating collectivism, and that really takes on kind of the threats to individual liberty around the world today and in this country especially. Everything from sort of DEI and ESG on the left to growing protectionism and sort of nationalism on the right. And then we have another area that looks at monetary policy. So this is inflation and the Fed. And then we have an area, economics and economic freedom, where we really look at what the federal and state governments can do to increase freedom, and that's where I'm working. So I'm trained as a political economist, as a professor for a long time. Joined here a year ago, and we're working on finding ways to liberate our entrepreneurs, our taxpayers, our property owners to make America a better place.
So this study that came out, and I referenced it, and I did a little reading on it yesterday myself, and the interesting part of the study that came out was that West Virginia now ranks 32nd. It's in the 32nd position out of course, 50 states in terms of personal and economic freedom. How was that number arrived upon, sir?
Yeah, so we look at over 250 state and local policies, and we grade all the states on these policies. And then we combine them to create this index. And the way we combine them is an objective methodology, or as objective as we can be. We actually look at the research on what the impact of each of these policies are. We actually come up with a dollar value for a standardized change in each of these. And so that's the way we weight them all together. And what we mean by freedom is really your ability to live your life, use your property, trade, live your lifestyle as a consenting adult as you see fit, so long as you're not infringing on the same rights of other people. And so we look at the extent to which government actually respects that freedom. And so we find that West Virginia does really well on personal freedoms and less well on economic freedoms. At the same time, though, West Virginia has increased quite a bit. So West Virginia is freer now, according to our data, than it was back in 2000. And furthermore, West Virginia had the third biggest increase in freedom over the last 3 years.
So when you talk about economic freedoms, let's go there first. Again, we're talking with Dr. Jason Sorens from the American Institute for Economic Research. When you talk about economic freedoms, particularly, sir, here in West Virginia, what are some of the things that you see as positives in West Virginia?
Yeah, I mean, West Virginia has made a lot of changes recently. They've done some tort reform. You've done some labor market reform, like right to work. It's easy to build there, so a lot of places have a lot of restrictions on your ability to build housing and things like that. There's pretty broad energy freedom, so you haven't, regulated electric production in such a way as to drive up costs. You've got broad ESAs now, educational savings accounts that I think they're called Hope Scholarships, where parents can now send their kids to private schools or school them and get a share of that state money that would otherwise go to public schools. So there are a number of ways in which West Virginia has grown in freedom recently. And, in the past, West Virginia's economy hasn't done that well because its economic freedom has been very, very low. But that's really starting to turn around now.
So what are some things, in your opinion, sir, as you have studied West Virginia, what are some things that West Virginia can do to improve its standing to move up from 32nd? You said it's better than it was, but we're still, pretty much in the middle, I guess. So what can West Virginia do to improve its standing?
Yeah, there's still some hangovers from the past, like, just a fairly big state government. And our data go up to the beginning of last year, beginning of 2023, so we don't include the income tax cut that you guys got last year, so that should improve where you stand on fiscal policy, taxes and spending. But there are other areas where government spending looks really high, especially government employment. And when we drilled down into this and we visited it there in Charleston and spoke with some folks, we really wanted to dig into these data, and what we found is that in West Virginia, highway spending is really high, both state and local. If you compare to the national average, that's really high, even higher than other rural mountainous states like, say, Montana or Vermont. And then we also found that general administration spending is high. So there's some areas where you could keep spending low for several years, just kind of level fund some of these functions perhaps. And that's going to allow you then to start to pay down debt and to start to cut taxes more, and that'll make your economy a lot more competitive.
The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live is brought to you part by Bridge Valley. If you're interested in improving your company's IT workforce, you may want to know that Bridge Valley offers custom-tailored IT training to bridge the skills gap. At Bridge Valley, you can train for little or no cost with a 50-50 salary match, and they also can supply skilled graduates and apprenticeships for your company. Visit bridgevalley.edu/apprenticeships today. Dr. Jason Sorens from the American Institute for Economic Research is here. Now, you referenced there, sir, that you were in Charleston recently meeting with various folks. Who did you meet with, and what was your takeaway from the meetings?
Yeah, we met at the state capitol with legislators and with some folks from the Cardinal Institute, which is the free market think tank there. They're doing good work. And we got some really good questions. So the legislators really wanted to know, dig into the data and find out how does West Virginia compare to other states. So it was a really good opportunity to share ideas, because when we go to states, we realize that the people there know their state better than we do, right? Mm-hmm. So we're learning from them. But what we bring to the table is that we know things about other states, right? So we can help provide those comparisons that help guide policy. So there are a lot of things here that we dug into. Another one is civil asset forfeiture. Not a lot of people know about it. But the legislators some of them were surprised to know that in West Virginia, law enforcement gets 100% of all the proceeds from anything that they seize. Right? So if they seize some property and then they auction it off, they get 100% of those proceeds. And if you're an innocent owner and your property is seized, you have to sue them, go to court and prove your innocence before getting your property back. So a lot of states have changed those rules so that you have to get a criminal conviction before you can seize property, or it's placed the burden of proof on the government, or they've reduced the revenues that go directly to law enforcement to reduce those incentives to seize that and auction off that property. So there's some things there where, we were able to show what other states have done and maybe foster conversation about ideas where West Virginia could go.
Where can people learn more about your organization and about some of the work that you do?
Yeah, so the American Institute for Economic Research is at AIER.org. And I highly recommend subscribing to our daily economy because we have several articles a day on hot topics in the economy and in government. And then you can find out about the Freedom in the 50 States publication. You can grab the data, play with it yourself if you want. That's at freedomin50states.org or freedomin50states.org.
I appreciate you taking time to be here. As I said, this is fascinating stuff to me. Maybe not to everyone else, but it is to me. And thankfully it is to some people because you're still employed. So I appreciate you taking time, Jason, to be here. We'll talk again soon, man. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thanks, Dave.
Dr. Jason Sorens again for the American Institute for Economic Research. Special Olympics embodies the true spirit of sportsmanship, not merely about winning medals. It's about being a part of a team, practicing and competing together. The joy and fulfillment derived from these experiences are immeasurable as athletes find their confidence and self-worth through the shared pursuit of victory. West Virginia Enriched, in collaboration with Huntington, invites you to witness the transformative power of Special Olympics. See a video highlighting the Special Olympics at facebook.com/580WCHS. Let me knock out a couple texts here. Text says, this is a right-wing group through and through. They don't advocate for moderate policies. Ask about their child tax credit. Text says, AEP has a robust DEI program and scores third-party contractors on their diversity initiatives. Does this freedom group dare to call out AEP as anti-liberty? Text says, how does a lack of running water improve West Virginia's economy? The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan. If you're injured, hire Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. We have a new police chief in Charleston. His name is Scott Dempsey, named to that position. The official announcement coming last week by Mayor Goodwin. We'll talk to Chief Dempsey after this. Plus, we got Tony Hodge coming up as well. Tony, of course, is from the West Virginia Republican Party. We'll talk to him coming up a little bit later on as well. Plus, your calls and texts are welcome. Bigly, Piggly, Wiggly hotline, 304-345-5858. Fruit Pharmacy text 304-935-5008. From the Parmar Store studio, it's 580 Live with Dave Allen on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Brought to you by the Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses. Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses are small businesses with big impact, including Generations Physical Therapy and Snap Fitness.
Hi, I'm David McCormick, owner of Omega Commercial Interiors. We'd like to thank you, West Virginia, for making us the #1 office furniture and commercial interiors company in West Virginia. Remember, when you're looking for quality Virginia company, visit us online at OmegaCommercialInteriors.com in Morgantown and Charleston.
If there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon. You hear us say that a lot, but it's true. Wherever you may go, chances are you'll find a Parmar store there, offering everything you need to get you in and then back on the road as soon as possible. From gas to groceries and snacks and items for your house, we have it at Parmar stores. Download the app and sign up for the Parmar Rewards Card too. West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. If there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon.
Thrive with 5 at the best community bank in the Kanawha Valley, Poca Valley Bank. Poca Valley Bank is now offering a certificate of deposit special, 10-month APY, annual percentage yield 5%. Take advantage of this great rate to grow your savings. For more information, stop by a Poca Valley Bank location today or call 844-782-2651. Poca Valley Bank, where relationships matter. Certain terms and conditions apply. Rates based on minimum annual percentage yield. Subject to change without notice. Minimum deposit required of $10,000 of new money not currently on deposit with Poca Valley Bank to receive APY. Member FDIC.
922, Dave Allen Show on 580 Live is brought to you part by Pinnacle Consultants, the only accredited commercial lab in the state for asbestos and mold. Asbestos was banned in some building products, but not banned for all products in the U.S. Don't expose your family or workers to asbestos, mold, or lead paint. Get with Pinnacle Consultants. They offer real estate environmental assessments for hazardous materials and air quality. Visit pinnaclecorp.net because what you don't know can hurt you. Biggly Piggly Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Fruit Pharmacy text 304-935-5008. Ryan Nicholson is our producer today. Tony Hodge from the State Republican Party is going to join us a little bit later on in the show. This past Friday, Charleston Mayor Amy Schuler Goodwin made it official, naming the interim police chief, Scott Dempsey, to the post as the main guy, the chief of police for the capital city. Also announced at that time that Jason Webb would be serving as chief deputy. We have Chief Dempsey in the studio with us this morning. Welcome to the show, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Dave. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm fine. Welcome to the show and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Guess. I guess.
Of course it is. Of course it is. This is a great opportunity.
The interim tag has been lifted. Now you are the new chief of police for Charleston. Just talk about how that feels. I'm
very humbled and grateful that the mayor would have confidence in me to sit in this position. And of course, I'm no stranger. I've been around in the chief's office now for about 4 years, but now to have the title of chief is very humbling and grateful, and I'm looking forward to continuing our work with the men and women of the Charleston PD and the public as well, and many others.
Give us the bio on yourself and this in your whole policing. Well, first of all, what I always want to ask people that are in jobs like yours is this a calling? Is this something that you always wanted to do as a young man, or
absolutely?
From day one.
From day one, it has been a calling. It truly has. I've come from a family of law enforcement, and I've been around emergency services quite a bit, and so this truly was a calling, and I had no clue I would end up in the position I'm in now. Mm-hmm. I've loved serving the city of Charleston. I love the Charleston Police Department, and I've lived here, I've worked here, I've played here, and to be able to have this position is such a great opportunity for me.
Talk about your career as an officer. How have you risen to this level?
So just like every other police officer, I started out in the patrol division mm-hmm. and worked my way up to a detective, and I did that for several years. Then I went to our warrants division and served there for a couple of years, and then I became more of a commander at that point and had various command roles throughout. Became the chief range officer, which is our firearms instructor, mm-hmm. and then became deputy chief in 2020, and here I am now.
What part of the area are you from?
I grew up in eastern end of Kanawha County in Bell.
Oh, okay, you're a Bellite. Yes. What do you call people from Bell?
You know, that's a good question.
Where's the mayor?
That is a good question.
Mayor Bell. What did
I know the mayor of Bell very well. I can ask him that.
He's been on this show many, many times. Yes. So I'll have to ask him about that. So talk about, Chief, some of the good and the bad of being a police officer in Charleston, because you've seen it all in your time on the force, and now that you've risen to this level. Charleston has got challenges. I mean, as you well know, Charleston is the largest city in the state of West Virginia. It's a capital city, so there's going to come some unique challenges to the city of Charleston. Just kind of gloss over the whole thing.
That is correct. So a Charleston police officer within a year will probably do just about what a normal police officer out in the county or the state or any other city will do in their whole entire career. So we are very experienced with challenges, and there are great things that happens being a Charleston police officer. It's a very rewarding career. We see the best in people. Sometimes we see the worst, but mostly we see the best in people when things happen. And as far as challenges, we do have certain challenges with certain parts of the city, but we are very well versed in our crime reduction efforts, and I feel very confident that our men and women can handle anything I throw at them.
Talk about the relationship, Chief, with the community and how important it is.
It's extremely important. Without the public's help, we would not be able to succeed in anything we do. And to build that trust, they have to see that we have integrity. They have to see that we're transparent. They have to see that we're honest, and that we provide the best public safety experience that we can. And to also achieve that, we have to have a highly trained officer, one who is highly trained with the department. that speaks volumes to the public. They want to know that when they call the police, that we will be able to handle any situation that is thrown at us, and that helps build the trust.
I talk a lot with law enforcement, and I have so much respect for what you folks do for a living, but on the show, and one of the things that I've had, whether it's the sheriff on or it's people from another area, they always tell me, they say, Dave, we can have the best trained officers, we can have all of the tools at our hands, but if we don't have a buy-in from the public, none of it really matters.
I agree with that. I agree. And that is incumbent upon all of us, not just the chief's office, but is incumbent on all of us to go out, treat people fairly, be courteous to people, and just do our jobs the best we can. And we like to meet with them as often as possible. We have many programs for the public, especially the youth, and we have neighborhood watches. We have our Citizens Police Academy, and I would invite anyone to come in and take those opportunities to be able to meet us and see what we do.
That's one of the things I think that that this administration has done well. Talking about the Goodwin administration is that they seem to, in all aspects, that they like to get out in the community and talk to people. We had the listening tours, I guess they called it, last fall, and it involved the police officers, but it also involved the fire department and city officials to go out into the various communities and just listen to people. And that's a big part of public service, Chief.
Absolutely. A lot of people will say, to do the job as a police officer, sometimes you have to shut your mouth and open your ears. And that, I believe that wholeheartedly. Those here to serve meetings is what you're referring to with the mayor's office. Yeah. Those are very informative. And if anything, people can just meet us and put a face, to the title. And those are very important for people to come to us and just talk and let them know their concerns.
The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live is brought to you in part by General Hardware and Lumber of Winfield. Come check out the new contractor showroom, lumber yard, and more. They deliver service and quality right to your door. Don't buy until you get a quote from General Hardware and Lumber of Winfield. Text says, you didn't know you were going to be subject to text, did you? I'm just going to read them, okay? Text says, hail to the chief. I first met Chief Dempsey when he was a student at DuPont High School. He's done quite well. # Panther proud.
Wow.
And I have no idea who the texts are coming from. So
that takes me back. I appreciate that.
Text says, Dave, the new chief sounds like a fine fellow, but unfortunately with the Charleston PD, trust is earned and not given because of their history of corruption and dishonesty. Hopefully this time next year we're applauding the service and not looking for a new chief. Well, hopefully that's the case.
I look forward to showing them that they can trust the Charleston Police Department.
Text says, Mayor Goodwin got this one right. Chief Dempsey has integrity and experience and look forward to great things from our new chief. The community and all uniformed officers of the Charleston PD deserve his great leadership.
Thank you very much.
Did you plan all these, Chief, or what?
I've paid off a few people.
Don't say that. Don't say that. He's kidding. He's kidding. Edit that out, Ryan. He's kidding. I want to talk about the need for officers. Charleston is not unlike a lot of communities around West Virginia. They're in need of officers, and sometimes I've been told that you have officers, you get them trained up, you get them ready to go, and they may take a job, with a different department. How do we go about recruiting people to want to be police officers? And this is a nationwide problem, by the way. This is not a Charleston thing. This is a nationwide problem. The two professions I've said that I don't know you could pay me enough to do would be a teacher and a police officer. But how do we get more younger people wanting to go into the police field? And what specifically do you plan to do to try to get Charleston police officers?
Recruiting and retention is a huge vision of mine and Deputy Chief Webb's. We're going to hit the ground running. We're going to be attending many events. We're going to be going out speaking with young folks who are qualified and who want to have the challenge of becoming a police officer. This is a great career. We feel very supported here in the city of Charleston. The city council, the mayor's office, and all of the staff are very supportive of us. And, you see across the nation, city governments not really supporting their police departments so well sometimes. We do not have that here. We feel very supported. And I just want to spread that message that this is a rewarding career, and it is a great career. And I encourage anyone that's looking for a job to come talk to me.
What are the requirements to be a police officer in the city of Charleston? Just a few of them.
You have to have a GED or a high school diploma, and you have to, of course, have a clean background, and you have to pass a physical test and a written test, and go through a background process, and once you do that, we have spots available. So once you take care of that, we are ready to hire you. We're giving a test April 6th. Mm-hmm. So I'd encourage anyone to reach out at our training division, 348-1091, and they will be glad to get you an application.
Now, what does that test consist of? Is that the written? Is that the physical? Or
it's a GED equivalent exam for the written test. And physical test, you have to do so many push-ups and sit-ups and in a certain time period, and you have to run a mile and a half in about 14 minutes, a little over 14 minutes.
Okay. How many police officers are currently employed by the city of Charleston?
Right now we have about 161 officers. We're slotted for 173, so we have 12 spots available immediately.
Okay, all right. Before we let you go, Chief, the floor is yours. I'm going to give you the opportunity to say whatever that you would like to. When I interview political figures, I call it the final 30. Give me 30 seconds why people should vote for you. I'm not going to do that, but give me 30, 45 seconds or so. Any thoughts that you want to say to the citizens of Charleston as the new police chief?
Sure, Dave. I appreciate that. Again, I just want everybody to know that Charleston Police Department, we're going to be doing our best, our very best, to provide the best public safety that we can. And we're going to be out and about visiting everybody, getting ideas, sharing concerns, and we're definitely here for them. And hopefully people will see that.
Now, the mayor made the announcement on Friday. Is it official now? I mean, have you been sworn in? You've done the whole thing to happen on Friday? You're good to go?
Yes.
Okay.
Ready to go. We're hitting the ground running this morning.
Okay. So what's an average day for the chief look like?
Very busy.
There's no such thing as an average day, right? I know police officers.
Yeah, any police officer will tell you there is no routine day. It's
right.
You never know what's thrown at you, but we're always ready for the challenge.
All right. Chief Scott Dempsey, Charleston Police Department, I appreciate you being here, man. Thanks a lot, and best of luck in your career. I think you're going to do pretty well. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
Hang out with me 1 second here. Phone calls to the show are service of Biggly Piggly Wiggly. When shopping at your Biggly Piggly Wiggly, be sure to join their loyalty program. Save big at the gas pumps and throughout the store with their electronic coupons and free gifts on Fridays just for stopping by from farm to table. Biggly Piggly Wiggly, the best kept secret in Charleston. Texting services provided by Fruth Pharmacy. Find the perfect over-the-counter hearing aid at Fruth with NuvoMed hearing aids. Plus, Fruth makes it easier to transfer your prescription services to them. Fruth is your hometown family pharmacy. We're going to take a break. Tony Hodge from the State Republican Party is on the way next. We're back after this for the Parmar Store Studio on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Brought to you by the Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses. Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses bring first-class businesses to your community.
We are professional grade. Are you looking for a new truck or SUV that can handle any terrain or challenge? Then you need to visit Thornhill GM Superstore on the Thornhill Motor Mile. Right now, you can get a $6,000 purchase allowance when you trade an eligible vehicle on the new GMC Sierra 1500. Or shop Thornhill's great selection of GMC terrain. You can enjoy 1.9% APR for well-qualified buyers on the small SUV that offers GMC Pro Safety Plus. Plus, you'll get a $500 purchase allowance and no payments for 90 days. Click or come by ThornhillGMSuperstore.com or on the Thornhill Motor Mile, US 119, Chapmanville. So 5-3G Financial, see Thornhill for all details.
Ramaco Resources is seeking experienced coal miners to expand underground and surface operations at its Elk Creek, Berwyn, Knox Creek, and Maben complexes in West Virginia and Virginia. Applications are being accepted for all positions. Ramaco enhanced wages for all positions, effective January 1, 2024, and is offering a $4,000 signing bonus for certified electricians. Ramaco continues to offer competitive benefits, no premiums for 90/10 and SHA medical plans, 4% 401k company match with immediate participation and vesting, a scholarship program for employees, spouses, and dependent children, referral and safety bonuses, and advancement opportunities. Log on to RamacoResources.com/careers and email your completed application to apply@RamacoMetC.com. Interested applicants must possess a minimum of West Virginia and/or Virginia underground or surface coal miner certification. No red hats, please. Ramaco is the employer of choice. Just ask the people who work here. Ramaco is an equal opportunity employer.
Do you support Donald Trump? Dwayne Duncan, the America First Republican running for Kanawha County Commission, does. Dwayne Duncan is a conservative that will defend our values. Dwayne Duncan is 100% pro-life and a member of the NRA. Dwayne Duncan wants more jobs, safer communities, and a better future for our families. Dwayne Duncan is not a career politician and will fight for all of us. Let's vote for Republican Dwayne Duncan for Kanawha County Commission.
Paid for by Dwayne Duncan for County Commission. Tori Takubo, Treasurer.
We got 23 minutes away from Tampa. Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you part by Live Healthy West Virginia, presented by WVU Medicine. Live Healthy West Virginia tackles pressing health issues like heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, and more. This podcast offers insights into medical breakthroughs and preventative care, featuring WVU Medicine's expert physicians aimed at fostering healthier lifestyles in and beyond the state. It's a valuable resource for all. Discover the latest episodes on WVMetronews.com under the podcast menu and start your journey towards better health today. Texas, thanks to the chief for speed enforcement on the interstates. Tony Hodge with the state Republican Party is with us right now. Anthony, good morning. Anybody ever call you Anthony?
No, it's actually Tony.
We talked about that once before.
Yes.
I'm a person that likes to call people like by their official name. Sometimes I don't know, but it wouldn't be true with you. You're just Tony.
Yeah, I get. What are you, David?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Yep. Just Tony. Just plain. Like I used to say, I like my food just plain. I'll take my sandwich plain. It's Tony, just plain.
Indeed. All right. So I want to start with this. I recently I had the new state party chair on the show. Elgin McCardle, of course, stepped down to run for a judicial position. And tell us about the new state party chair. What's your opinion of him? Good dude. Going to do a good job?
Yeah, I've actually been very impressed. His name's Matt Harridge. Mm-hmm. I've got to be able to get to know him over the last few weeks, and I'm very impressed. He's a longtime business owner up in the Wood County area. He owned several restaurant franchises, actually up in the between 20 and 30 restaurant franchises. And he's at a point in his life where he was able to sell those and kind of get to a point where he's not really retired, but at a point in his life where he can start serving in other ways. And so he actually reached out to the party and say, hey, how can I help? And things just kind of got rolling from there. So
you guys didn't go on a big recruiting issue?
Not.
I mean, he just basically reached out to you and said, hey, had he been somebody, I mean, I guess as you kind of mentioned there, he had been involved in politics kind of on the sides in the past? But
yeah, he was very much involved at the federal level. So he worked in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, I had him on the show, and he talked about that a little bit.
Yeah, he worked with both of our senators and our congressman up there in Washington. So he'd been involved at that level, not so much on the state level, but he called us and wanted to know how to get involved. And of course, Elgin had was talking about her future plans, and so the pieces just kind of came together. And then he reached out to the members of the state executive committee, and from there, the rest is history. And he's hit the ground running, and he's all over the state. He's traveling everywhere. He was in Morgantown last night. He's showing up at Lincoln Day dinners all over the state, and the people really appreciate that. And he's a very good spokesman for the party, and I'm very pleased with that.
Well, when I had him on the show, I mean, a couple of weeks ago, he was on the phone, but he was very, as you said, very well spoken, and got his as did Elgin too. I don't want to throw off on Elgin. I mean, Elgin did a fine job as well, but I think he'll do a great job. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live is brought to you part by Meeks Realty Group. Discover the unrivaled expertise of Meeks, your ultimate partners in all things real estate. Whether it's your dream home or that ideal commercial space, Meeks has you covered. Contact Rich the Realtor, 304-932-7488. Let Rich and the team guide you on your real estate journey. Take a look at all their listings at meeks.us. Tony, at the winter meetings for the state Republican Party, there was some debate on whether or not to close the GOP primary. Now, as it was, registered independents would just walk in and request a Republican or a Democrat ballot. In West Virginia, you would go in and say, I'm Dave Allen, I am a registered independent, but I want a Republican ballot, or I want a Democratic ballot, or whatever the case may be. And the poll workers were not allowed to kind of push you in any direction. You had to specifically ask for it. If not, you would only be allowed to vote for nonpartisan races. There was a lot of debate at that winter meeting in Charleston a couple of weeks ago, and it ended up being that the primary will be closed, but it will be in 2026. They're not going to do it in 2024. Some in the party, I'm not very much paraphrasing here, Tony, I have said that by having a so-called open primary, it allows rhinos, Republicans in name only, to vote, and they wanted to close it. As I said, the decision was made to close it, but not till 2026, which I think that part was a good move, because I think it would have been a nightmare for our county clerks and election officials to be able to get it going by 2024. Where were you on the whole thing?
Well, I'll tell you, it was a very, I don't want to say, I'm trying to think of the right word. I don't want to say divisive, because that makes it sound like we're divided as a party, and we're not here in the state. But it was a very, a lot of strong opinions on both sides of that. And I kind of feel like you, which I expressed to people who asked me about it. It wasn't so much about closing it, but the timing did kind of give me a little bit of heartburn if it were to happen at this coming primary. That was going to be a little tough, and a lot of people were reaching out on that front of it as far as the timing. But as you know, we got to the meeting. There was long discussion. There was an amendment made. After the amendment kicked it to 2026, it passed, but it did pass. It was kind of close. It still wasn't an overwhelming thing, and so there's still people on both sides of it, even to this very day. Yeah. Some people hate it, some people like it. But we're just going to move forward. We're going to focus on this election that we have right in front of us. We're going to get conservatives elected this primary, and ultimately we're going to get the conservatives to win in November.
I will say this, and we'll move on to something else. The reason, as I said, because, I've told the listeners before, I did work in the Secretary of State's office at one point, and I realized that our elections officials in the state of West Virginia on the county clerk level and their poll workers are some of the best, hardest working people. And I could just hear the cries, if you will. And I don't mean it in a negative way. I mean the cause for concern, I should say, from our county clerks, because it's hard enough to be able to try to get ready for an election anyway, and trying to get poll workers, and I'm not sure where I am on the whole thing. I definitely, though, was not for doing it now. So I think the party did the right thing there, at least in that aspect.
Well, I do want to make a comment on the poll workers. So if the listeners out there, if they don't know, the way that a lot of the poll workers are recruited to work is through our executive committees, and that's both parties, have their executive committees. And I have not worked the polls normally because on election day I'm doing, my political party business that I do, but my wife does work the polls, and several people that I know work the polls. And I will tell you, I've made a habit of stopping in at a few polling locations on election day and even in the early voting period. And God bless our poll workers. I mean, they're great people. They're a lot of them are retired. They're just giving of their time because they love their country. They love their community, and God bless them. And I think we should really, this election coming up in May, thank your poll worker. Thank them for working, because think about it. We couldn't have safe, secure elections if we didn't have good, competent poll workers. And that falls on the party executive committees to find those people. Yeah. We appreciate everything that the county's clerks do and the Secretary of State's office. It's a group effort, but those people should not go overlooked, and we really appreciate them.
But Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you in part by Hudson's Pizza. Heart-shaped pizza month continues. Get a 14-inch small heart-shaped pepperoni pizza, only $14.99. Offer good for the entire month. Find your nearest location at Hudson'sPizza.com. Tony, what's your take been on the legislature so far?
Well, I've been very pleased. I mean, there's been a lot of good pieces of legislation that's gone through from all aspects. So, a lot of times, depending on where we are in the election cycle and stuff, sometimes the social issues have the big focus. Sometimes it's economic issues. Sometimes, last year last session it was a lot about taxes, personal income tax. So every session normally has a theme. This session, I've kind of noticed, I was just going through my notes before I came in here, and we have bills that are kind of touching on a little bit of all of that. And so I'm very pleased. It's a wide-ranging session. There's a lot of good legislation out there. There's going to be a couple of constitutional amendments on the ballot that the people will be able to vote on. One of them that generated a lot of debate in the House, I think it was last week, was the constitutional amendment on euthanasia. And so that passed, and that'll be it passed the House. I don't know if it passed the Senate yet, but anyway, if it passes both houses, it'll go on to the ballot, and that'll give the people the right to say in our Constitution whether we would allow euthanasia here or not. There's other good legislation on securing our elections. Making sure that, for an example, making it illegal for illegal aliens to vote. Not going to be able to do that. We've got 3 or 4 election integrity bills. I'll have to look at my notes here and see what they are, but they're really good. There's things that expand scholarships for STEM students. There's all kinds of economic development bills. There's gun protection bills out there going. So it's a wide array of things that kind of touch on things that a lot of conservatives care about. And we think we're really doing a really good job, both the House and Senate side.
Ready for some text?
I guess. Bring it on.
Text says, I asked Tony to answer if there is a substantive due process right to privacy under the Constitution. Do you have a right to privacy under the Constitution? You've never answered that question. This is a texter.
Well, I yes, but there's a lot of discussion that come with that question. It's too broad, too wide.
Okay, all right. Any news on the deposition of Alexei Navalny? Body returned to the family. I don't think you know anything about that in Russia.
And that
would be something probably for ABC News, the top of the hour.
I did read a little bit in the Wall Street Journal this morning about I guess Vladimir Putin's political opponent or something, and he's come up dead, probably murdered. Yes,
somebody made the comment. I'm not trying to make fun of it, but somebody called it Putin's sudden death syndrome is what they call it.
That's actually pretty funny. Well, Russia is no
unless
ally.
It happens to you.
Russia's no ally of us. I can tell you that right now. They're not.
Well, maybe we should tell the former president that.
No,
Tex says, how does Tony feel about Democrats changing parties just to run as a Republican in the primary?
Well, I think it's disingenuous. I would feel sorry for someone who has that in mind, just to switch parties to come over to what we would say the ruling party is right now, just to run for office. I mean, it's just disingenuous. I don't know if it's really being honest with the voters. If you're a Democrat and you're proud of it and you want to run for office, by all means, put your name on the ballot. I mean, we'll probably beat you, but go ahead and stand your ground and put your name on the ballot. But if you're not really a conservative and not really a Republican, we're trying to get good conservative legislators and office holders elected.
But people can change parties, though. I mean, I come from an area, Tony, in southern West Virginia, where I've said many, many times I was a registered Democrat because of in Logan County when I registered to vote in 1988. If you were not a Democrat, you had no one to vote for. There were there were none. I mean, maybe 5 in the whole county. So, but people can change their parties. I think the issue from the texter, and I'm not trying to read too much into this, was people that change parties just to run for office, because people they can change back and forth.
Well, and as far as people changing parties, you are correct, and there are valid times when that happens. I mean, there's people listening now that I've gone out to dinner with, spoke to them, they've changed their party. There's people who have sat literally around my dining room table at home and have switched from the Democratic Party to the Republican Party. But it's not because they were seeking power or they were after some ulterior motive. It's because they realized that they were truly conservative, and they didn't realize that the Democratic Party had left them, and so they switch over. So there are times when it is legit, but then there's other times, sometimes it's high-profile times when we can see around the state that people are just switching to gain office. And I just, it's hard to trust those kind of motives. What's really this person's motive behind this? It just makes me a little skeptical. So we have to watch.
Text says, ruling party, ? Is this a regime? Well, I think you meant the party in power.
Just the party in power.
And it was the Democrats for 83 years.
Exactly. The Democrats were the ruling party in this state for over 8 decades. And now we're the party in power in the legislative and executive branch.
Text says, Tony's name, plain. Tony's taste in food, plain. Tony's political ideology, plain. I see a pattern here. Maybe Tony should move from the mountain state to a plain state like Kansas.
Well,
you're West Virginia born and bred, man. You're not going anywhere.
I love it here. I love it. I'm staying. I'm here for good. Love it.
Republicans, says the texter, trying to suppress the vote of someone like myself. I'm voting for more Capito over Patrick Morrissey. Then I'm voting for Steve Williams in the general. Also going to vote for Nikki Haley over Trump if she's still on the primary ballot. Then voting for the boss, Joe Biden, in the general. Republicans are bringing the government too far into personal lives.
Well, I mean, look, this person sounds, they've got an array of people they're voting for, but in the general election, it doesn't matter if you're a Republican or Democrat. You can vote for whoever you want. So whoever you want to vote for in the general election, of course, we want you to vote Republican, but the issues going on within the Republican Party as far as the primary have nothing to do with the general. It won't affect the general election in any way.
The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live is brought to you part by your hometown baseball team, the Charleston Dirty Birds. Get ready for the Mountaineers and the Thundering Herd back at Goma Ballpark on Tuesday, March 12th. Ticket information is available at dirtybirdsbaseball.com or on the Dirty Birds social media pages. Got some more text to get to. Plus, I want to get Tony's take on the upcoming primary election. I'm not going to ask you for endorsements, Tony. You can, stop sweating over there because I know you can't do that. But I do as an overall want to get your take on some things going on with the primary election. We'll be back right after this on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Brought to you by the Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses. Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses want to thank you for shopping locally.
Attention all anglers. Start your next fishing adventure with Lund Fishing Boats at Trojan Landing Marine in Charleston. Crafted for precision and performance, Lund boats are the ultimate choice for serious fishermen. With innovative features and superior craftsmanship, Lund ensures a smooth and successful day on the water. Experience the difference for yourself at Trojan Landing Marine. Whether you're a seasoned angler or just starting out, Lund Fishing Boats will take your...
get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and more. Just visit FanDuel.com/stream and shoot your shot. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Must be 21 plus and present in West Virginia. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net.
If you're looking for the most epic place on earth, let's start at the base of a massive waterfall. Then trek through the thick jungle. Then climb to the peak of a snowy mountaintop. Then once you get there, keep going. Because with intelligent 4x4 and 7 drive modes and a Nissan Pathfinder, the search is the real adventure.
Available feature. Intelligent 4x4 cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
Time is short. Prepare today. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com. MyPatriotSupply.com.
Attention animal lovers. Animals Today covers everything related to animals worldwide. Unlike other programs that solely focus on pets, Animals Today explores a wide range of topics concerning all animals, including those in agriculture and in the wild. Host Lori and Dr. Peter Spiegel interview animal protectors and rescuers, filmmakers and authors from around the globe. If you're an animal enthusiast, Animals Today is the show for you. Sunday nights at 10 on 580 WCHS.
The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live is brought to you in part by Brightway Insurance, a Mays agency of Tays Valley. Brightway offers up $2 million in life insurance from all the top carriers in about 10 minutes with a 95% approval rate and no medical exam. See them for all the details. Start a quote today at brightwaymays.com. Ryan Nicholson is our producer today. Biggly, Piggly, Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Fruit Pharmacy text 304-935-5008. When I point at you, you're supposed to talk.
Oh, okay. All right.
You said something to me in the break that you wanted to bring up. So,
yeah.
Man, Pushkin is so much better at this than you are.
Well, I didn't know if you wanted me to build off your phone number or text you or what. I didn't know what was going on. Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I love to get the little Pushkin, jabs in there on you. You and Pushkin went out for tacos.
We did.
A couple of years ago.
We did. Hey, he's a friend of mine. I mean, look, we don't agree on hardly anything politically. There's a few things, but very, very few. But he's a nice guy. I mean, I don't have anything bad to say about him, and we get along just fine.
But I was just kind of messing with you on him. You did want to say something, though, about the land that you and I both call home, and that is in Putnam County.
Well, I want to tell you, so just today I woke up and I saw that there are 2 brand new small businesses opening in Hurricane. Mm-hmm. And because you live out there, we see small business openings all the time. I mean, it's happening all the time. The last 2 weekends, I have to drive through the Main Street area of Hurricane to get to my home. The last 2 weekends, I've driven through there. And the old pictures that you'll see maybe in the newspaper, and it'll say snapshots in time, and it might show a picture of Logan from the 1950s or Welch from the 19. And you look at the pictures, and there's cars lining the streets and people everywhere, and you're like, wow, what a time that was. That vision is the time that Putnam County is in right now, especially Hurricane Tays Valley area. The last 2 weekends I've driven down Main Street, there is not a single parking spot to be found. And it's not just cars. There are people walking the sidewalks. Mm-hmm. There are people standing in line outside of restaurants to get in. And then the other small businesses out through there. There's a very large senior retiree economic development package coming to Hurricane right now. It's very, very large, very expansive, and I'm excited about it because what it's going to do, we have a housing shortage out there right now. We need housing developers, we need land, we need all of those things, but this large development that's getting ready to happen in Hurricane is going to free up more single-family homes. I'm excited about that. It'll get our housing market a little bit balanced. There's just so much going on, but it goes back, I think, to people coming to conservative places like Putnam County and West Virginia as a whole, and it's based on the legislation that we pass and the leadership that we have in place.
I want to talk about the race, a couple of the races before we let you go, Tony. The race for governor started to get a little bit nasty among the Republicans. Not as nasty as it's probably going to get. There have been some real jabs in the race for Senate between Governor Justice and Congressman Mooney. Locally, shots were fired on this very show last week in the Republican race for prosecutor in Kanawha County. Are you worried? Are you worried at all, Tony, that some of this infighting could hurt the overall races?
Well, I don't know if it would hurt the overall races, but I would be untruthful if I told you it didn't bother me. So it does bother me a little bit to see Republicans fighting against Republicans. But we live in a democratic republic, and that's just the nature of things. So I was at the last gubernatorial debate in Raleigh County. That was a fantastic event. It was hosted by Metro News' Hoppy Kirchville. It was great. I was there in person, and all four candidates did a great job. There was some jabs thrown, but it was all good-natured. Everybody got along really well. But afterward, I was talking to some people, and about 3 different people, which is kind of a little sample, just random people, they said, I just like all 4 of those guys. All 4 of them are really good. And they are. That's the neat thing about West Virginia now is the Democrats can barely fill the ballot. We have, our bench is full, and the bench is full. I mean, we just have so many good candidates. So that's the way I look at it. And that's the way the nature of primary elections are. This is nothing new. Parties have dealt with this all throughout since we've had the party system. Yeah. So it's nothing new. We just have to navigate it carefully and wisely.
Text says here that former Democrats who switched to independent, you can't be trusted by the Republicans that don't want your vote, and you're not welcome, you rhino Marxist socialist groomer, says a texter. I used to be a Republican, says a texter. I voted for McCain over Obama, but as soon as Obama won, the Republicans lost their minds and went Tea Party crazy, which led to Trump. And then that's when the Republican Party left me.
Well, I mean, everybody has their opinion, but I would say there's been a whole lot more testimonies of the Democratic Party leaving West Virginians, and that's why they're switching to our party, and we love it.
Texas, Tony's bills on what conservatives care about sounds like solutions in search of problems.
Well, I mean, one complaint that I hear a lot in the legislature, I just don't understand it. They say, the Republicans are trying to pass a bill, and the Democrats will say, well, is that actually happening here? Is that going on? Well, if you're trying to pass legislation, I mean, does it often matter if it's going on yet or not? Or aren't you trying to get out ahead of things? For an example, it's just a simple example, but let's say
about 35 seconds. Go ahead.
Okay, let's just say right now we have it's illegal to rob a bank. Well, whether it's illegal or not, whether people are doing it or not, you still want it to be illegal, right? I mean, so sometimes you have to get out ahead on stuff. So whether it's happening or not, legislation is good legislation if it's going to get out ahead of a problem. That's what I'm trying to say.
Tony Hodge with the State Republican Party. Always a pleasure to have you on the show, man. I appreciate
it.
Sir.
I appreciate you having me in.
Thanks a lot. Coming up on the show tomorrow, Greg Thomas, Republican strategist, will be stopping by, and your good friend of mine, Tony Millie Snyder, will be on the show tomorrow.
I'll be listening.
Millie Snyder from the Shape Shop. Hobby's up next with Talkline. Brad McElhenney on the show today. Former Charleston Mayor Danny Jones on Joe Manchin's decision not to run for president. You and I didn't even get into that. Maybe we'll get into it next time you're here. Gotta go. See you next time. Till then, have fun and love somebody.
WCHS AM, W243DRFM Charleston, and W283AQ Cross Lanes, a WVRC media station. We're proud to live here too.